This is Sports Charlotte, the podcast about sports in Charlotte. My name is Herb White. I'm editor in chief of the Charlotte Post. And Cameron Williams, staff reporter, all around good guy, Duke fan. Well, Duke basketball fan.
I'm a Duke fan.
Of all things Duke.
Yeah, I mean, basketball is what they're good at, but I mean, I follow football. Their baseball team's decent, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've moved past the Final Four, I trust.
Yeah, I'm ready for Cooper Flagg to land in Charlotte. That's what I'm ready for.
Oh, yes. That's first on our list of stuff to talk about today. And it is Thursday, April 10, 2025. The NBA season, for the Hornets at least, is
Pretty much over.
2 games away. 2 games to go in Boston this season. I think to call it a disappointment is an understatement. To call it a hot mess might be closer to accurate. So, we've had previous conversations about tanking for one Cooper Flagg, the Duke freshman phenom. And a lot of people would like to have their grubby little mitts on that first draft pick to potentially select Flagg if he decides to declare for the NBA draft. He hasn't done that yet, but
It's inevitable.
sooner or later, yeah, he's going to make that move. Now, whether that's this year or not, I guess the money's great in college. It will be
ain't
off
the-
the chain in the NBA.
Yeah, it's not NBA money. The thing with NIL now is, I think he was making $6.8 million in NIL money.
That's a lifetime for the rest of us.
Well, I mean, it could be a lifetime for him too, and he'd make the same, if not more, if he were to return to Duke. But you go to the NBA 1 year, you're setting up your grandkids. I mean, that's just, we're talking about generational wealth, and I'm not a unobjective fan and saying, "Oh, I want him back. It's best for it's in his best interest." It's not. I mean, if he wants a championship, if he wants a chance to get back to the Final Four or win another ACC tournament, if he wants that, and that's what he really, really desires, sure, great. But I don't think it's in his best interest to go back. I mean, he's already proven the kid's supposed to be a senior in high school, and he absolutely dogged everybody he played. So what's he got left to prove?
Sometimes it's not even a matter of what am I here to prove. Sometimes I'm just throwing it out. You can just enjoy being a college student.
That's a great point. That's a point that my dad brought up. It's like, why? I mean, this kid, he came in a year early. Why don't you just enjoy being young while you can? It's a valid point, but if I'm sitting there at 18 and you dangle a couple $100 million in front of me, I'm saying,
Not to mention the endorsements.
well, he's already making a lot. Gatorade, Puma, and all his other endorsements are paying him mighty well as it is. I mean, I'd probably say the kid probably made $15 to $20 million this past year between NIL that Duke paid him, Gatorade, Puma. I think I'm missing one. I know he's sponsored by someone else, but he's made a lot of money.
Yeah, and being an NBA athlete would open him up to a raft of new opportunities. So the money that he's making now is nothing compared to what he potentially could make if he turns out the NBA. So, but I understand, you're only young once. The NBA will bring on certain responsibilities and that we'll have to deal with throughout that career. But I don't know if being a college kid can compare to making all the money that he's going to make in the NBA. It would be tempting to just tell all of it, adios, I'll see you for summer school maybe.
Yeah.
and work towards that.
And that's the biggest thing. I mean, and as an 18-year-old, I can't imagine putting myself in those shoes to having to weigh out those options. It's like, okay, come back and enjoy another season in college, or go make all this money. he's going to have to really make a decision as to what's going to make him happy, because there were stories about when Zion Williamson was in college and he wanted to return, and Coach K was like, no, you're going to go make generational wealth. You're going to make all this money for your family, for your friends, and all this stuff, and for yourself. And, well, in Zion's case, that next year would have been the COVID season. So, in hindsight's 2020.
Krzyzewski made the right call for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure Shire's going to have these same kind of conversations. But now it's just different because you're able to make so much money as a college athlete. I mean, if he makes another $20 to $30 million next year, I mean, you're sitting on 50, and I'm sure he's got accountants and financial advisors that are making him do the right things with his money to where he's investing it and he's saving it. His money's making money for him as it is right now. And his parents aren't having to worry about a thing. And a unique thing about his situation, he comes from a place in Maine where the average salary is like $30,000, like $30,000 or $35,000. He comes from not a lot, and so he's making all this money, and so maybe he's like, okay, well, I've got more than I've ever had or could have wanted. It's a pipe dream for Duke fans, for anybody that wants Flagg to stay. It ain't happening, but
and that's the world we live in now.
It's I mean he'd be crazy too, but if that's what he truly wants, good for him.
Yeah, he's already played college basketball. He doesn't have a college degree though.
No.
Now that might be the only reason. That's a good reason to stick around, but that's what summer school is for, and you can always go back and pick up that degree.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. You go back and get that after your playing days are over or in between seasons, and it keeps you engaged, it keeps you on campus, and sooner or later real life is going to kick in anyway.
Yeah.
So why not go ahead and enjoy the fruits of your labors while the fruits are still falling off the tree?
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
So you're in his shoes. You see the Hornets, Jazz, and Wizards are the three teams that have the best chance of getting the number one pick. What will he do, and what would you do if you were in his shoes?
Well, since you don't get to pick your NBA team, it's really a pipe dream. Would you publicly go out and say, I don't want to play for this team, that team, and that team?
Kobe did.
Well, yeah, but the Hornets and Lakers were ultimately willing partners. I don't know if anybody could find a willing partner who would say, yeah, we'll trade you a whatever for this generational talent. And besides, did the Lakers and Jerry West really think that Kobe Bryant was generational when they swung that deal with the Hornets?
I don't know, but
Kobe, I mean, it worked out great for the
Kobe
Lakers.
was darn good in high school.
Well, absolutely. But was he generational? A lot of folks are darn good.
The whole label of generational, that comes down to work ethic. You've heard people say, oh, this guy's generational. Amani Bates, phenomenal example. When he came into college, everyone was like, this kid is going to be the next Kevin Durant. This kid, he's a 9th, 10th guy down the bench for the Cavaliers, and half the time he's with the G League. Generational is a mindset. If you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't work at it, I'm sorry. Kobe was one of the hardest workers out there. LeBron. I know some people have their opinions on him. You can't argue with stats. I mean, he's a really great player. He was generational, the chosen one.
Mm-hmm. Took care of his body, which is the other side of this as well. Not only do you have to work at it, you have to put yourself in position to succeed. And that includes taking care of your body, taking care of the other stuff that grown-ups have to take care of, whether it's your finances or your personal life and all the other things that go along with it. And you have to be able to hit the mark as you go along in order to sustain greatness past the potential stage.
In 2013, did you think for a second Giannis Antetokounmpo would have been what he is?
No. I mean,
but
but he's a self-made man when it comes to that.
Exactly. And so Cooper's one of those guys. I mean, you talk to any of the coaches that he's worked with, he works. He works at his game. He works at his craft. And so I think he could get there if he continues that work ethic. Now, if he lets the money start talking, he gets caught up in
and
that.
The babes or whatever.
This guy.
I'm just saying. I mean, but it's been known to happen.
But my point being, if he stays grounded in his process, he could be another generational type player. I mean, his stats just really jump off the page, and he's there's not anything I can say that hadn't already been said about his level of play. Something that the Hornets, Wizards, Pelicans, Jazz, Sixers, they could all use.
30 NBA teams could use that, even the best of them.
For sure, but I'm talking about teams
the
that
worst
are
of the worst.
gonna probably get him now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if San Antonio looks up again and is able to get it.
I know that's what the national folks are all saying. Oh, San Antonio, they're openly pulling for San Antonio to win this lottery.
Right.
And I'm flummoxed. It's not like San Antonio is tearing stuff up right now.
No, but man, that's Duncan and Robinson reincarnate, right? I mean, different players, of course, but as far as the tandem, that'd be something.
Yeah, but you mentioned pipe dreams earlier. Let's say the Hornets struck lightning, or lightning struck the Hornets, and they wound up with that first pick.
Oh, that's going to be a busy May and June for me, baby.
But then the question becomes, are the Hornets so far behind that not even a Cooper Flagg can help? That would be the question I would ask. And maybe that's what national media think as well, because the Hornets have been so bad for so long that even a Cooper Flagg would just get washed away in whatever it is that is holding the Hornets back.
I think he's a player that's going to help any team that he goes to, whether it be on the winning or whether it be just overall getting the program back in a winning mindset. Because it doesn't matter what Charles Lee does. A, the team's not healthy, and B, they're not good. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I mean,
we're agreed.
I mean, there's no other nice way to put it, and they have to get enough good players that can stay healthy and that can be on the floor to start having that collective winning product on the floor each and every night. When you've got guys that are on the floor for 5-6 games, they miss 5-6 games, there's no continual chemistry built there. And so, it's been a long season. I know some of, I'll leave them nameless, but some of our other media colleagues, we were at the game Tuesday night, they're like, we finally made it. It's the end.
Well, with the Hornets, it's like the Trail of Tears every season. It's the same thing. Best players are hurt. Talent isn't there on the bench. And the losing keeps going on and on and on. And I still will subscribe to this. All goes back to firing James Borrego, because he couldn't get them out of the play-in section of the postseason. It was short-sighted. They gave this man the heave-ho. He was turning in winning records. And now...
They ain't sniffed the play-in since then.
You throw a parade if you can get to the play-in around here now.
Yeah.
Because and this year's club has a very strong possibility of not even breaking 20 wins. Now that is low.
Well, I'll say this. Based on what we see here, let's see. Let me go to the conference. Boston has locked up the 2 seed, I believe.
Right, Cleveland's first. Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a bad. So Boston's going to be resting people these next 2 games.
It won't matter.
Charlotte's going to have to do a lot to try to not win these games, is what I'm saying.
Just show up. That should be plenty right there.
Because, I mean, you're not wanting to win these games for sure. I know we talked about it 2 weeks ago when they break 20, and I said I didn't think they would. They got 2 games against a team that's going to be playing their G League team essentially. We'll see.
Well, Charlotte's been playing pretty much the same for the last week or two.
Yeah.
With all the injuries, all the absences. Now the good news, if you're the Hornets, if you're really looking for some, is you got these younger folks, a lot of NBA experience. Not necessarily good NBA experience, because there's a lot of losing going on, and that can sap your spirit as quickly as anything. But at least these young folks have gone out and given it their best effort, and perhaps that can be spun into some improvement that will help lay some groundwork. Will it actually come to fruition? I don't know. But if they can land a Cooper Flagg, it can only help.
Yeah.
But I'm not sold on anyone's ability changing this franchise's fortunes.
Well, one thing that I think is ironic is the Hornets lost, 3 or 4 times to Washington?
Yeah.
And Washington is, they're tied for last in the league with Utah. And Utah won last night. Well, what's that about?
Well,
why are they trying?
The folks on the floor still get a vote.
Why are they trying? I don't understand that. I get Adam Silver doesn't want tanking and this, that, and the other, but you want the number 1 pick. Why are you even trying to win games? And it was against another team that was eliminated. So it's not like you're like, oh, let's try to beat this team and knock them out of the playoff because they're a rival or whatever. It was Portland. They're already eliminated. Why are you trying to beat them?
Well, like I said, the folks on the floor also get a vote. So you can try to do the worst you can if the ownership says, hey, don't put a whole lot of effort into this today, coach. The coach may say, hey, I'm with that. Dudes on the floor may not be, because they have careers. They have families to feed. Wow. And so I understand you want to try to do the best you can, especially if you're an athlete, because athletes already take enough abuse in terms of, well, that one's lazy, or that one's not going all out, or that one just lacks skill. They're human too. They do have a certain amount of pride, or at least you would hope they would, or else they probably wouldn't be professionals. Yeah. So there is that. But just based purely on history, Hornets aren't going to get Cooper Flagg. They're going to wind up second. You watch.
Well, Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey's not a bad pick either.
Not that it would matter.
Well,
because it's the Hornets, for Pete's sake. But
so back to my original question before we went off on that rabbit trail. If you're Cooper Flagg, what do you do? And as a follow-up, what will he do? As far as go to the draft or go back to college?
On to the NBA.
So what would you do?
If that were me in that situation, I'd go to the NBA too.
Okay. All right. I'm probably in the same boat. 20 mils, more money than we can fathom now, but a couple $100 million, way more money than we can fathom. So it's
and he has the longevity and the greatness that goes along with it. You know, he could possibly do like a LeBron James and do this into his late 30s, early 40s. He's only 18.
Yeah.
You know, that's a mighty long time.
Who knows? He might get traded to Charlotte.
In other news, we're going to move on because, well, frankly, it's time. We don't talk about baseball a whole lot around here.
We should.
And let's do. You wrote a story this week about the Knothole Foundation and initiatives that it's launching to connect kids to baseball, especially in West Charlotte. Tell us more, pray tell.
Yeah, it was cool because I've known Tommy Viola. He's the Chief Communications Officer with the Knothole Foundation now. He worked with the Charlotte Knights for 13 years, and he worked in minor league baseball for upwards of 20. And I've always crossed paths with him, but never really gotten to talk in depth with him for any length of time, just because I'd be doing game operations, he'd be doing other stuff, but whatever. It was great getting to chat with him about, he's getting to do a passion of his that he hadn't really done in the past, and that's youth baseball and softball as well. The Knothole Foundation their goal is to strive to help young, less fortunate kids that may not have the means to play baseball, because Lord knows baseball is expensive. Just have better access to the game, access to facilities, fields, baseball clinics, softball clinics, as well as educational initiatives as well. They have a tournament next week, their Westside Story tournament. It's going to feature 6 baseball teams and 4 softball teams. West Mecklenburg, Rocky River Chambers, Berry, Garinger, and Jackson Day baseball teams, and West Charlotte Chambers, West Meck, and Garinger softball teams. Their championship games are going to be on Tuesday, the 16th, and it's just going to be a kind of a showcase. A lot of these teams are in the West Charlotte area, maybe less fortunate, and predominantly African American high schools, and so these are the baseball teams that you're not going to see on the nightly news or in other. Well, exactly. So my point being is, it's great exposure for them. There's going to be actually Negro League historians as well as a former Negro League player actually throw out the first pitch at the championship game. So, I mean, the history of the Negro Leagues, for those that don't really follow baseball, it's crucial to just the sports history, and it'd be really cool for not only players but family members of the players that are there spectating, just to be able to talk to them, pick their brain, and just learn about the history of baseball. And that's one thing that Tommy said, it's gratifying to him just to be able to see the smiles on a lot of these kids' faces, that if it weren't for the foundation, they would never touch a baseball bat or baseball gloves or even really get to play.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the things too that we don't often pay attention to in sports media, is that disparity of opportunity. And in recent years, we've talked about it in soccer specifically, as that sport has taken root here. But baseball has not gotten the same attention, and it is way more expensive than soccer, and the opportunities are still as limited, especially in communities of color. Mm-hmm. Because if you're talking about how do kids get noticed in baseball, if you're in the United States, a lot of this is going to be travel clubs where you go to these showcases, you get seen by college coaches and scouts, they offer you a contract, or even big league clubs. If you're really talented, folks will sign you out of high school. So to get onto that path itself is prohibitive for lower income kids. Mm-hmm. And so an opportunity like this, it won't necessarily solve that issue, but at least it exposes these young people to the possibilities of improving your craft as baseball players or softball players. Let's not leave out the girls in terms of being able to potentially land that college scholarship that can put you on a path, maybe not even to baseball greatness, but to set you up for something for the rest of your life in terms of the education possibilities and being able to do something post-college that will result in the improvement in your situation in life, that you can do things for your family and your community moving forward.
Yeah, and I mean, Tommy brought up a lot of great points when it comes to just accessibility with baseball and softball. I just looked up Dick's Sporting Goods website right now, and you can't find bats under $50 that aren't T-ball bats.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about, and a lot of the ones that are $50 to $60 are wooden bats, and they don't use those in the middle school, even little leagues anymore. So you're talking about these metal bats, and most of them go from anywhere from $60 to upwards of $400, $500.
There must be some special metal in those bats.
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, played just in like church softball leagues and stuff. I mean, a lot of those composite bats and stuff, they got some pop to them, but you pay for them. And if you come from a family that doesn't have the means to pay for that kind of stuff, you're not going to have the ability to get it. And so, one point that he made was the passion for a sport, whether it be baseball, whether it be any sport, starts at a young age. And so, very rarely do you see people just pick up something and say, "Oh, I like this," and I'm 50. You know, so, and if you don't have the access to it at an early age, then you're likely not going to develop that love for the sport, and it's why you see less, not only just African Americans, but less people start playing baseball, period, because they don't have the ability to afford a $400 bat. So what they're doing, what they're striving to do is great, and I think it's this upcoming tournament, the clinics that are hosted next week is a great opportunity just to get people back involved in the sport. I know off camera and behind the scenes of the podcast, I've talked with Herb about just wondering why people aren't in baseball anymore, because it's a sport I'm passionate about. I've watched growing up, played growing up, and you see why. And the Knothole Foundation is really shining the limelight on that and trying to get it going back in the right direction by helping kids get back into it.
A very good cause, and let's not kid ourselves. It benefits baseball to have these young people involved,
right?
Because those young players, if they're really engaged, they become young fans, and you can't make any money if you're baseball if no one's worried about watching your product. So there is a mutual benefit for the sport itself, because if you take kids who are engaged with the sport, at some point they become adults who are engaged, and that is what you need to replenish that love for the game, and it gets passed on to another generation, and it becomes self-fulfilling. So,
there you go.
Kudos to the Knothole Foundation. We've done some reporting on their initiatives in the past, and I think that this is fabulous, and it puts kids predominantly in West Charlotte, in their high schools in that part of the county. It's a good place to build the sport out in a community that is not as connected to it as
could be,
as
or
it
should
be.
There you go.
Yeah. So
it'll be great going out there next week just to watch. I mean, whether it be for a story purpose or video purpose, just getting out there to really show support. Because I mean, I don't think many media outlets are going to be at the Knothole Foundation Westside Story Tournament, but I will be. So
yeah, and there you go. And we can't control what everybody else is doing. All
exactly.
we do is what we're doing, and what we're doing requires money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make that pitch again in this episode. Be FOTP.
Yeah.
Friend of the podcast. Go to our website, thecharlottepost.com. Go to the drop-down boxes, become a donor or a subscriber, or do the trifecta and become a subscriber to our sports newsletter. It comes out on Thursday every week without failure, most of the time. And so we would appreciate your consideration and your support, because journalism isn't free to produce. It takes money to hire talent to go out and report on the story, edit the story, post the story to the website, and good old-fashioned print. So do us a favor and do just that. Go to thecharlottepost.com and support our work. We do appreciate it. So there's the pitch. Thank you so much. And anything else that you want to talk about in terms of what you're looking forward to?
The Masters is going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think that this weekend, just I know it's one of those national holiday weekends that I talked about, other than March Madness,
Opening day of
baseball, and then the Masters. Man, it's the best major out there. I know a lot of people have their opinions on what the best major is, but I don't think it's a debate. This one, it's a classic. It's the only tournament that's held at the same course every year. So they're doing something right down there in Augusta. So
that's good. That's good.
what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Johnson C. Smith's Gold and Blue spring football game. That's Friday, 6 o'clock over at Eddie McGirt Field. They had a scrimmage last week against Wingate. A lot of the starters, especially on offense, did not participate. I would expect that there will be some similarities this time around, and I look forward to that. And also, the CIAA Flag Football Championships will be held at Smith this weekend as well. So, women's football championship going along with Smith's spring game. Lots of football, so Smith might be the place you want to go see some. But that is what I'm looking forward to. And on that note, we're going to close shop for now.
And from everyone here in beautiful Derrida, that's Herb, I'm Cam. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a great weekend.